first match of the competition here. Now, this is a great example of someone sticking to a game plan to a T. So the plan was for the first minute, try to just get heavy on the person's head and make them work and tire them out. So here his opponent takes a shot, and Alex sprawls back. Whoops. Ignore that. Let's try that again. Alex sprawls back and gets a front headlock position. Excellent move to sprawl back. It would have been even nicer to sprawl back with a bit more of a dominant grip here. So as his opponent shoots, his opponent does a really great job of shooting in. Alex starts to sprawl, but you notice he doesn't have anything to push his opponent's shoulders away from his hips. Best case scenario, he would have a right underhook, but he doesn't have it, and we can't always get the best case scenario underhook. So the next best thing would be probably a crossface here, using his left arm to keep his opponent's head from coming closer to his hips. Now, even though he doesn't have that, he gets to the front headlock and he's able to sprawl his legs back, so it works out in his favor. He comes back up with a headlock and he's just pulling on his opponent's head, tiring him out. They come back to posture up and they continue the grip fight. He notices his own head was trapped, so he disengages and reconnects. Got the double collar tie, pushing down, another shot, and another successful sprawl. Now those shots are not bad on his opponent's bad strategy in terms of his opponent's decisions. But when you do take a shot and your opponent sprawls on you, it takes a lot out of you. So that's working into Alex's strategy really well of tiring his opponent out in the first minute, using a lot of heavy on the head collar ties. Here he's continuing with the double collar tie. Now he has inside position. I want you to notice how Alex also is here. His opponent has an over tie, which is a collar tie on the outside of Alex's collar tie. But Alex has double inside position. His right arm has the collar tie and his left arm is on an inside tie here, which is excellent position for him, not so good for his opponent. And from that, it gives him options of pulling on the head, attacking the legs, transitioning to a body lock, a lot of different things that he can do. So we're a minute in, he switches from pulling on the head to now trying to hunt for a takedown. His opponent again goes for the leg, and Alex is able to successfully sprawl out of it. Goes back to pulling on the head a little bit, but now it's time to switch gears. So he's hunting for underhooks, trying to find some kind of dominant grip with which he can find a takedown. So this time the sprawl got all the way, and this is kind of the ideal situation when someone shoots in on you and you sprawl behind, is to get them all the way down to broken onto their knees and hands, which Alex does here. He gets his partner all the way down and then tries to come around to the corner and is able to win the battle for height for hips and as a result take top position. His opponent ends up falling back. They reset in top half guard. The reason Alex won that exchange is twofold. One, he's a minute and a half into the match and Alex has a lot more energy than his opponent, who's already taken, I think, 3 failed shots and had his head pulled towards the mat multiple times. So his opponent is much more tired than he is, so he's got an energetic advantage. And then from here, as he comes around the corner, he's getting a height advantage too. Now, unless his opponent gets his hips directly under his and is able to overthrow him with that, then the height advantage is what will win and dictate this. So Alex comes around, he's got higher shoulders, higher hips, and he's able to just keep on plowing forward. His opponent can't do a reversal, and he just falls to his back with Alex on top. The ref will stop the match and redirect him to the center of the mat. And they begin. Immediately, Alex jumps off to the side in order to pass, and this was just because his opponent was lazy with that hook. So here they're in a half guard, but his opponent's leg is not hooking his leg. Now this was a mistake on his point when they got here. Julian, the bottom player, should have hooked his leg over Alex's leg. But because there's nothing stopping it from going out, Alex made the right choice and just jumped off, got his 3 points for passing, and went back into a dominant position. Tried to jump over to mount a little bit too ambitiously there. So from here, in order to get to mount, I think a couple different strategies that you could use. One, you could slide your left knee, Alex's left knee in this case, over his opponent's abdomen, going to a knee on belly, and then continue sliding all the way up to a mount or rotating his foot to the other side. Another thing he can do is switch his hips to face his partner's legs and then tip the knees towards him and then step over. But here he just tries to kind of jump over and step over quickly. And that strategy has the problem of leaving too much space, which his opponent capitalizes on and gets a knee in the middle. So this is represents a decrease in dominance for Alex, going from side control to half guard, but he's ahead on points and he's still in a dominant position of a chest-to-chest half guard pin. So he's just working on passing the guard again. So he's already got his knee free, and now he just needs to free his other leg. Back into half guard, there's a near pass. One thing that can be really useful for controlling someone in half guard are underhooks. Now the far side underhook is generally more important, but the near side underhook can also be very useful. So here he managed to pass the guard. His opponent is very tired now, with a lot of just trying to push Alex off of him. And his opponent's making the mistake of holding him towards him right now. So the top player, Alex, wants to take the space away, and right now the bottom player, Julian, is doing that job for him by linking his arms and holding him to him chest to chest. He's also lying flat on his back, and his knees are pointed out into nowhere. Ideally, you want your knees pointed towards your opponent or towards the mat where they can be useful. So Julian's trying to get up and successfully gets to his feet. So excellent job to get up to the top there, Julian. Alex gets the benefit of Julian trying to fish for the head, but he tried to fish for the head without the head being low enough. In order to get a headlock or a guillotine for that matter, you need your opponent's head equal to or lower than your armpit. Right now, Alex's head is clearly higher than Julian's armpit. And as a result, when Julian reaches over to try to wrap his head up, Alex is able to turn towards him and get the back. So he's not at a risk of getting his head trapped here. He just keeps turning towards him, and because of the angle that he has on that, is able to capitalize it. Here he's got now a body lock on the side, and he just lifts him up and takes him towards his back. Lifts and turns and takes him down. Now, because they got down, he was in a headlock for a moment, but he was able to free himself. And now there's a messy scramble that ensues. Now, in the case of this messy scramble, it's very likely that the result could have been different if Alex didn't already have an energetic advantage. So if he hadn't tired his opponent out, that scramble might have ended with Julian on top and Alex on the bottom. So this speaks to the kind of the holistic strategy of starting that first minute off with tiring his opponent out. Here, Julian again manages to get off of his back. So hats off to Julian. Something that we're going to back up and look at that again. Something that you might want to do, Alex, is if you notice that your opponent is not enjoying playing guard and they're trying to get up, you can prevent them from getting up. So what does he need to get up from this position? Well, one, he can't stay belly to the ceiling, so he has to roll towards you. If he rolls away from you, then he ends up giving his back. So he has to roll onto his right side. Another thing he needs to do is he needs to put his, if you keep pressure on him, he can't just sit up towards you. So he needs to retract his right leg, and he probably needs to post his right arm to do that. So if you notice he's trying to do that, you can grab his right arm with your left arm, and you can prevent him from putting his leg back by controlling this leg. So if you'd controlled that arm or that leg or both, then he would have had a much harder time of coming up. So here you see he's posting on his right arm. He's got his right elbow on the ground, and then I think he maybe scissors his legs. Yeah, he rolls over and gets to belly down position. So not exactly the hip heist situation that I was describing, but just rolling onto his knees. Still controlling the bottom arm and the bottom leg can help keep somebody pinned fairly effectively. At this point, Julian's quite tired and getting desperate, trying to put some points on the board, so he went for a lazy shot, and Alex was able to sprawl, go around to the side, and here he's doing a really great job of not letting Alex get both hooks in. This was a bit of a greedy moment of Alex trying to get the far hook in too early. He's got a nice seatbelt grip. I would like to see him come to the side either get the near hook in first and then pull him towards him, or completely pull him towards him first and then start stepping over. But what he does is he reaches over with this leg too early. And what that does is it sets him up to have his body over Julian's body without enough contact or control or connection between the hips and the back. And there's a possibility of Julian here posting up on his feet, kind of tripoding, and forcing Alex back off to the ground and then getting a top position. But Julian kind of jumps a little bit and then gets into a position here where Alex only has the top hook. The bottom hook is the more useful one for control. So what Alex should do here is try to perhaps pull him over to the other side if he can't get the bottom hook in, which Julian is clearly blocking very actively here. So Alex's move here should be to try to bring him to the other side, so then he does have the bottom hook. But Julian keeps working his way out, and Alex makes a really great damage control call, which is stepping over and coming on top into mount. Still scoring his 4 points, ending up in a chest to torso dominant position, almost as good as the back, quite good. And from here, he's playing from mount with 1:20 left and 12 points up on the board. The next order of business from mount is preventing your opponent's escape and beginning to isolate an arm from the body. So here he's got to make sure that he maintains his legs in a position that prevents his opponent from getting inside position with his legs, and with his upper body begins isolating the elbows from his opponent's body. So here I would like to see a bit more active leg work from Alex. He could either grapevine the legs or bring his feet together close to his opponent's butt. Right now, as it stands, his opponent does have inside position with the legs, which means that he's one step closer to escaping. Now, luckily, Alex was controlling the upper body very well, which allowed him to not have to focus on the legs, but his opponent could have made more use of that. Alex was setting up an arm triangle. He steps off to the side, and his opponent is able to just roll out of it. There's only 30 seconds left. Now, here was a really good adjustment from Alex. See here, he's holding this double, we could call it a double undergrip from the back, or I don't know what the wrestling term is for this, but this is a dangerous position to be in on the top player. What you'd want to have is one arm holding between the shoulder and neck, and the other arm holding this kind of underhook or armpit position. That's the headlock that you want. What you don't want is what Alex currently has, because from here, he's vulnerable to his opponent sticking his head on one side and doing a sit-out, and then taking his back. So sometimes we end up in this position because of a sprawl or because of a scramble, but then as soon as we are in that position, the right decision from there is to switch one of the hands to the neck, which is what Alex does here. I think he was hoping to go for a darce, perhaps, but as his opponent starts to posture up, he has to quickly change gear into just keeping him down. And steps over for a last minute 4-point score before the time runs out. So super good match. It was really nice to see Alex stick to that game plan. It takes a lot of discipline to follow through with that and not get carried away. So first minute, tiring him out, and then after that, looking for opportunistic takedowns, and then just running the points clinic, 16-0. Congratulations, Alex. Good match.